Hey, we back. If you were not aware, I am Steve. I certainly do exist, and I'm here today making the official Mind Notbot tutorial video. Notbot is, in the name, a bot. It's on Discord. There it is. You probably know that much already. It's a bit of a small bot, but it has some pretty nice features. It's got things like collecting characters and battling with them, dungeons, and we are going to go over them today. And you can decide if the bot is epic or not. That's down to you. But hopefully this video will give you a bit of an idea of what is yet to come if you start using Notbot yourself, and whether you're going to enjoy it. Also, just introduce you to all the commands so you know how to use the bot, and other such things. So in an attempt to keep the video's length reasonably low, we are going to get on with it. So I'm going to start with knots. Knots is the bot's currency. It's in the name. We have knots here. I have some of them there, a reasonable number, I would say. And knots is what you're going to use to buy things. They can be used in the market, they can be used by crates and all fancy things that we'll get to later. Knots is just the main currency. So how do you get knots? Well, the initial way to get knots is the get command. That's just going to give you a couple of knots unless you get lucky, and then you get a jackpot, which will give you either 10 or 25 knots. Of course, it does depend on a couple of factors that we will also get to later, to do with clans actually. But there's a few other ways to get knots. You also have the daily command, which, as you can see, I cannot use currently because it's, a daily command. We also have the vote command, where you can vote for the bot. That's, as it says, going to give you 100 knots. You can do that every 12 hours. And then there's a few other methods to get knots as well, which we'll also get to later. Don't worry, there will be loads later. So yeah, that's knots. Pretty simple. You just get them, and then you have them, and then you can spend them. Standard bot currency. Next we have quests. Quests is indeed one way to get knots, among other things. You get daily quests and weekly quests. Your daily quests are going to be every day, and your weekly quests are going to be every week. Shocking, I know. You can have 3 of each of these at any one time. The examples I have here are the ones that I've got, which is win 20 manual battles. We'll talk about battles in a bit. Receive the get jackpot 1 time, which I've talked about the jackpot. You know how to do that, so off you go. And then my weekly ones are also for winning battles with particular characters, which I have been leaving there for a little bit because I don't want to do them yet. Also, you will be made aware immediately by this exclamation mark that the default prefix for this bot is indeed not the dash. It is the exclamation mark. You can of course change it to the cool dash like me if you use the prefix command. But the exclamation mark is default. You've got your quests, you've got your knots. What are you doing with them? I said you could buy things. Well, let's have a look in the shop. There's a shop. Astounding. In the shop you can buy boxes. There's also some other things down here, which we will not talk about yet. But initially we have boxes. They cost varying amounts of knots, and they're going to give you rarer characters. You may guess the rarer characters are generally better, but this is not necessarily true. We'll talk about characters in a little bit. But boxes are one way to get characters, and the more knots you spend on a box, the higher your chances of getting a rare character is. So, speaking of characters, let's have a look at those next. If you put your dojo command in here, you can see a list of all the characters you've got. If you're just starting out the bot, you will probably have a lot of these question marks, but not to worry. Getting characters is easy. With a simple find command, it's going to give you a character immediately. As you can see there, I got myself an uncommon. We have from top to bottom common, uncommon, rare, epic, and mythic. That's all of them. We won't talk about the second page. I'm kidding. So we also have Shattered, which is on the second page, and getting them is a little different, as you can probably see. But yeah, I'll touch upon them briefly later. For the most part, just concentrate on these. But what do these characters do, you might ask? Well, let's find out with the show command. We'll try show Ava, shall we? Ava right at the top there. It's got a bunch of text. We can see some nice flavor text here with a backstory that you can give a read if you like. We also have the rarity of the character and some stats, damage, health points, and armor. They do what you would imagine they do. And we also have supers, which is like special attacks. So we'll get to them when we talk about battles. Each of these has a cool effect and costs some battle points. Each character has their own unique supers. They will also have different damage, health point, and armor stats, of course. There are 3 types of characters. We have the attackers on the left, the healers in the middle, and the tanks on the right. Healers, funnily enough, heal, and tanks generally have a lot of health and also have a special ability called Attention, which is kind of like Taunt, where the enemy has to attack them first. So that's the groups of characters. We also have elements of each character: fire, earth, wind, and water. These don't do a whole lot, but you do get a damage buff if you use all characters of the same element. So maybe look out for that. Before we get on to our battles, though, we have one more thing to talk about, which is pets. Pets also exist, and in some senses are pretty similar to characters. We have common, uncommon, rare, epic, and mythic again, but there's also legendary. Whoa! Legendary pets are event specific, at least at the moment, so be looking out on events that may occur to find some of those. Other than that, in order to get pets, simply use a lot of commands. You get pets through doing your find, through your get, your daily, your vote. Pretty much anything can potentially give you a pet. It's a bit rare, but you might get one. Saying that, you will only get common, uncommon, and rare pets. The other ones you have to merge. We have merge pets up here. The mythic pets need to be merged of multiple different types of other pets. But other than that, you just merge duplicates. So for example, I could type merge pets, unicorn, uncommon, and it's going to give me a bit of stats on that. It'll cost me some knots. I'm going to give up 2 uncommons. I'm going to get 1 rare, and it's going to buff the buff that the pet gives, because that's what pets do. They give a buff to your team. You can have 1 pet in a battle, in a team, and it's going to give you a bit of a buff, which is quite nice. I'm not going to do that. You can do that if you like. So, speaking of teams, I think it's about time we made a team, eh? So we have a team here. It's got all the commands listed at the top. Feel free to read them. But basically our team is comprised of 3 characters, which all have a level and an amount of XP, and also a pet, which is going to give them a buff. Personally, I'm using Fulvia, Berlian, and Yuval with the Griffin pet. So feel free to copy me if you wish. I'm not getting my element bonus because personally I don't care, but it's all up to you. If you do want some strategy tips with making your team and doing battles, feel free to check out some of my other videos on my YouTube channel, Steve Bobbington, where I have made other videos on Notbot. It may or may not be linked somewhere around wherever you're watching from, wherever that may be. Anyway, speaking of battles, let's get into that, shall we? When you first make your team and you go into battles, you're going to want to do manual ones. So that's going to be BM, which is short for Battle Manual. I'm going to go through one of these quickly so you get the gist of what's going on. We have some buttons. We have the special button, which is using the battle points. This is how you use your supers that I mentioned each character has. We also have the cross, which is for normal attacks. This just does damage based on the amount of damage that you have and the amount of armor that your opponent has. And personally, I also have a little shield here for my tank Yuval, where they can use their attention if I want. That'll mean that all the enemies attack them. If you have a healer on your team, there will also be a healer symbol there where you can heal your team. So for instance, I could start off the battle with a normal attack. I'm going to use Malfovia, and let's attack that Mika in the middle there. Wonderful. Now I'll use my attention. That's my Yuval there using attention. You can see in the logs. And then I don't know. Let's use a super on Berlian, shall I? The Earth Golems. There we go. And it's put the active supers down here, which also counts the attention. And to save time, I'm just going to quickly go ahead and finish off this battle. Right, there we go. Finished up. That took, as it says here, 5 turns, which is not bad. Could have been better, but that's fine. It's given me some XP for my characters so that they can start leveling up, which is very nice. And also I have my streak, 405 wins in a row. That's not bad. It gave me some knots for winning the battle, which is pretty nice as well. That's more knots that you get from the get command too, so look out for that. Now, first thing to mention about manual battles is that the enemies here are a fair bit higher level than you are. It's about 3 levels, but those 3 levels make a much bigger difference at lower levels. So do not fear if you start losing your manual battles when you first start out on the bot. That's kind of expected. It happens to everyone, so don't worry about it. What you want to do is make sure you get those XPs, which you get even if you do lose. And then when you start leveling up, manual battles won't be a problem. I would say once you hit about level 7 or so, you can pretty much win all your manual battles. As long as you've been paying attention, you know what's up. So don't worry too much about it. But if you are against the whole manual battle thing, maybe you don't like losing so much, that's understandable. We also have automatic battles, which is just the regular B command. What that's going to do is put you up against a team, instead of necessarily a couple of levels ahead of you, it puts you up against a team which is the same rank as you. If you are in a lower rank, like me in my gold 2 right here, you're going to get much lower leveled characters than you are. You might have a much easier time winning. You can get your nice streak up like that. Now, ranked is a little bit different from manual. You get less XP, as you can see, and of course I didn't have to press a bunch of buttons to do that fight. So how does that work? Well, there's a fancy AI, kind of, that is going to use all of your past manual battles to choose your actions in your automatic battles. Now, in general, it's not going to do nearly as well as you in your manual battles. They do sometimes make some pretty sketchy decisions that you wouldn't expect, but in theory, it works quite nicely, and you get to a pretty high rank, as long as your team makes sense. What do I mean by a high rank? Well, if you put the R command into chat, you can see your rank. Here I am in gold 2, almost ranked up to gold 3 in fact. The ranks go from bronze to silver to gold to platinum to diamond to master. And then there's a couple of others above them, but no one's got there yet, so we won't talk about them. When you start out, you'll be in bronze 1 in fact, when you go up to bronze 5, then into silver 1. Makes sense, right? Good stuff. Now, the higher rank you are when the season ends, which is once every 10 days, you're going to get yourself some knots, some boxes, and some shattered pieces. Shattered pieces is how you get those shattered characters that we were talking about earlier, which are pretty cool. You might notice as well that it says here I'm in Diamond 1, despite the fact that I'm clearly in Gold 2. That is because if we have a look at my team up here, I'm currently in Team Slot 2. You actually have 2 teams, and one team has a separate rank from the other team. This is kind of nice. If you want to have 2 different teams that you're testing out at the same time, you can see which one does the best. You can save a streak on one while you experiment on the other. So that's kind of nice to look at as well. You have your set team command listed right here with the other ones. Alright, the last thing that we're going to be talking about today is clans. You can type the clan command in, and it's going to tell you which clan you're in if you are in a clan. You can join a clan with clan join, and funnily enough, leave with clan leave. You get a couple of small bonuses, like if I have a look at clan traits here, you can see that my clan has a few upgrades in XP, so we get extra XP from battles. Your clan is your server that you're in. So for example, there's a server here for my I Am the Senate. That would be a clan. You can see that my clan is officially Steve's Waifu Machine, which is this server down here. You can pick any clan that you want to join as long as it's open. You join, you get your extra bonuses, and there's some cool challenges for you to complete in clan challenges when they're available. They're not always available, but sometimes. For doing the clan challenges, you get some TAMs, which you can spend on your traits, which is pretty nice. Other than that, there isn't too much about clans. I think that's about all there is to the bot, really. There's some more high-level stuff that we can talk about later. I mentioned materials, there's also dungeons and artifacts, and things like that. We won't go into too much here, because you probably won't be using them until a fair bit into the future. There's also, of course, minor nuances here and there, where you can determine for yourself how they're going to work. Of course, things like getting the good battling team, for instance. And I have not gone over all of the commands in the bot. If you want to have a better look at all of the commands in the bot, there's always the help command, and there's plenty of people around to help you out. You can join the NotBot official server, which I've got down here, and ask any questions that you have on there. Hopefully you get the gist of what's going on, you can figure everything out, and there's plenty more to learn yourself later on when you are an advanced NotBot member and you're going for all of these leaderboards, which I will allow you to look at yourself by adding the bot to your server and then typing the commands yourself. Magical, isn't it? Anyway, I'll leave this one here. The video is kaput. Bye!